Hello, friend, and welcome to Inside the Dark. Thank you for joining me. A celebrated fire captain, a jealous wife, and a ring camera on the patio of their Ramona, California home that captured a terrifying scene just days after Yolanda Morotti posted this sweet and loving post on Valentine's Day that read, "Happy Valentine's Day to my amazing wife, Becca Morotti. She is an angel to so many." But what Becky Morotti didn't know when this photo of her was taken was that just 3 days later, there would be a terrifying video of her taken, pleading for her life, screaming to her wife that she doesn't want to die, as her wife chased her down with a knife, screaming back that she should have thought of that before. Police believe what Yolanda meant by screaming at Becky that she should have thought of that before was that she should have thought of that before she told Yolanda that she wanted to end their marriage. But apparently, Yolanda wasn't having that and decided she'd end Becky's life before she'd let her live it without her. Police reports say the audio and video captured at their home on February 17th was terrifying, as Yolanda was seen with blood on her arms, chasing Becky back into their home. And Becky could be heard begging Yolanda to call 911 to get her medical help a number of times. But they say Yolanda did not. Instead, they say she could be seen leaving the home on the front door camera minutes later, wearing a different outfit, gathering their pets, and loading luggage into her silver SUV, leaving Becky bleeding to death in their home. Then Yolanda's SUV was seen crossing the border into Mexico about an hour later. Becky Morotti's mother found her later that evening and called 911 to report that her daughter had been stabbed to death. But Becky was not the first spouse Yolanda stabbed to death. She also stabbed her first husband to death, who she had children with, back in 2000. But she was able to plead her case down to voluntary manslaughter, and she only served 11 years in prison for his death. She was released in 2015 and worked as a receptionist in a psychiatric office. Then she met Fire Captain Becky Morotti and married her in 2022.
We are learning new disturbing details about the murder of Cal Fire Captain Becky Morotti.
The information is coming from an arrest warrant for her wife, Yolanda Morotti, who's the focus of an international manhunt. Our Tony Shin's live at the sheriff headquarters in Kearney Mesa with the very latest on this investigation. Tony.
Yeah, Phil and Christina, let me tell you, we are getting a lot of new information about this case from this arrest warrant. You know, part of this horrific attack was actually caught on surveillance video. At one point, it shows the Cal Fire captain pleading for her life, and investigators say that video also shows exactly who killed her. A heart-wrenching moment on February 18th as fellow firefighters salute a flag-draped gurney just hours after the violent attack the night before that took the life of Cal Fire Captain Becky Morotti. According to this arrest warrant, sheriff's investigators say at around 9 p.m. on February 17th, Morotti's mother called 911, stating that she found her daughter suffering from multiple stab wounds, including her neck, chest, and stomach. Paramedics tried to resuscitate Morotti but couldn't save her. One of them recognized Morotti as a Cal Fire captain based in Riverside County. Lorena Morotti told detectives that her 49-year-old daughter was married to 53-year-old Yolanda Morotti. But a week earlier, Becky decided to end their marriage. Lorena also gave investigators surveillance video from the home security system on Rancho Villa Road, where Becky had lived with Yolanda. The video showed Becky running across the patio just after 8 p.m., yelling out, "Yolanda, please, Don't want to die. Yolanda then replied, you should have thought about that before. The video also shows Yolanda standing in front of the CAL FIRE captain with what appeared to be a knife in her right hand. Blood could also be seen on Yolanda's arms, and Yolanda could be heard telling Becky to go inside the home. Then at about 8:20 p.m., video at the front door showed Yolanda gathering pets and some luggage and loading them into a silver Chevy Equinox. She had changed her clothing and was last seen on surveillance video about an hour later driving into Mexico. On February 20th, an acquaintance of Yolanda told investigators that Yolanda sent her a text saying, Becky came home and told me she was leaving me. She met someone else. All the messages were lies. We had a big fight and I hurt her. I'm sorry.
Mexico has a pretty elaborate license plate reader system and camera system.
Bill Garcia is a private investigator who is not connected to this case. He says Yolanda is desperate and wants to get as far away from the U.S. as possible, especially because of her prior criminal history that includes stabbing to death her former husband in the early 2000s. He believes Yolanda is most likely getting help from family or friends in Mexico, but he also believes her time is running out.
It's a place that people think they can go and literally disappear. It's not so much the case anymore. So I don't think she's going to be out there very long before she's captured.
Now, also, according to this arrest warrant, Captain Marodi told Yolanda during that attack several times to call 911 so she could get medical help, but Yolanda never did. Right now, investigators here in San Diego are working very closely with authorities in Mexico to try to find Yolanda as soon as possible. Reporting live in Kearney Mesa, I'm Tony Shin.
A longtime friend of Becky's, who was attending a gathering in remembrance of her life, said she didn't know Yolanda because she kept Becky away from her friends, and she didn't know if Becky knew that Yolanda was a killer.
I'm joined now by Fran George, a longtime friend of Rebecca's, who, as we speak, is at a celebration of Rebecca's life. Fran, I am so sorry for the loss that you are coping with, especially on a night like tonight, where you're celebrating Becca's life. This news has just come in the last, I want to say 45 minutes, that there's an arrest warrant showing ring camera video exists with Yolanda chasing Becca, and Becca saying, I don't want to die, and Yolanda saying, you should have thought of that before. How do you process details when you are learning these things about your friend?
It has been more than just a little difficult. No one thinks that their friend is going to be murdered by their own spouse, and certainly not the hero that Becky is. Becky was strong and funny, and everybody loved being around her. We had our own little group, and it was amazing. And it's sad that we can't have that time anymore.
It's so upsetting to think someone as unbelievable, as Captain Marodi, had this spouse with a murder in her past. She didn't plead to murder, but stabbed her husband to death and served 9 years. Did Becky know about this, or do you know if Becky knew about Yolanda's killing past?
Well, I'm not sure if she did or not, because when they got together, Yolanda basically kept Becky from us. So we didn't know much about her at all.
And what did you know about her? I mean, as limited as it was, it's so upsetting to think that you've got this friend who's gone off and married someone and has cut you off. What did you know about her?
Well, I know that she managed to get one of the pretty awesome people to fall in love with her and marry her. She got our Becky to fall in love with her. She got our Becky to marry her. And that's basically all I know.
What do you make about this Valentine's Day post? Yolanda posts, just days before the murder, "This is my angel," and she's, the most unbelievable angel. Do you think that this was a moment where they were, this was Becky saying she was going to leave Yolanda? Do you think it just exploded that moment, or do you think this had been building?
I think that was just one of Yolanda's way of covering, of just putting out that face so no one would expect anything or suspect anything.
Do you think she was planning? Do you think she was planning something 3 days later? Do you think she was planning to kill Becky?
I have no way of knowing that. But it's just sad that she put that out there like that.
I'm seeing this picture of your friend Becky in her uniform, a captain, a firefighter, a hero who just finished working on the Eaton fire. Yeah. Tell me what we should know about your dear friend Becky.
You should know Becky would go out for anybody and do whatever needs to be done. She was the epitome of a hero. She always had your back. You could always count on Becky. She'll make you laugh. She'll make you smile. She'll make you feel good. Even looking at her picture makes me smile, although it's through this, and I'm actually at an event right now to honor her. You need to know that she was a real one, for sure.
Fran George, thank you so much for paying tribute to your friend, and we will continue to follow this manhunt and the search for Yolanda Marody. Anyone with information should know as well that they should call the San Diego County Sheriff's Office. And Fran, I'm going to put that number up on the screen right now. It's 858-285-6330. Again, if you know anything about Yolanda Marody's whereabouts, call the San Diego Sheriff's Office at the number on your screen. Take a picture of your screen, a screen grab. We'll continue to follow this manhunt.
The mother of Yolanda's first husband has also spoken out about how scared she was of Yolanda back when she was married to her son, and how scared she is again, learning that Yolanda has taken the life of another person and is now on the run.
Very scary. It scares me. She always has, and it's just been very scary. We blocked the doors.
The mother of James Olacek Jr. is speaking out tonight. He was stabbed to death by his wife, Yolanda Marody, 25 years ago. Thank you for being with us. I'm Kimberly Hunt. Yolanda Marody is now on the run after another deadly stabbing. She's accused of killing her wife, Cal Fire Captain Rebecca Marody, last week. Authorities believe Yolanda has crossed into Mexico. And tonight, ABC 10 News reporter Laura Acevedo spoke to Olacek's mother, who describes Yolanda's jealousy in that relationship and the fears she has while Yolanda is still on the run.
My conversation with Olacek's mother was emotional. She was in tears as she remembered her son, in disbelief that the person convicted in his death is accused of killing again. It's been nearly 25 years since the death of James Olacek Jr., or Jimmy, as his mom lovingly called him.
There's not a day went by that I didn't think about him, but then when this happened, oh my God.
Olacek was stabbed to death by Yolanda Marody in October 2000. She pleaded guilty to voluntary manslaughter 3 years after his death. He was a Marine at Camp Pendleton and had a daughter with Marody. He was only 26.
My son was a good man. Everybody wants to say that about their children, but my oldest boy was my good boy.
Marody is now on the run, wanted for the stabbing death of Cal Fire Captain Rebecca Marody. News that's made its way back to Olacek's mother, Nancy Hayworth, in Iowa.
I haven't slept hardly at all since this has happened.
Hayworth says the last week has been painful, opening up old wounds about her son's death, with eerie similarities between the two.
Scary. Very scary. It scares me. She always has.
Hayworth says she only met Yolanda once.
She seemed a little immature at times, and also she was not happy unless a lot of attention was on her.
She says Yolanda and her son were divorcing when he met someone else. 5 months after the filing, he was killed.
Games people play when they're getting a divorce is what I thought was going on. But I never thought that she would do what she did to him.
Marody served 13 years in prison for Olenchak's death, a sentence that never seemed enough to his mother.
I thought, how can someone take someone's life and only be in a few years and then be let out and get to live your life? And my son will never have that.
Hayworth says she now thinks about Captain Marody's family, especially her mother, understanding all too well the pain she's now dealing with. Anyone with information about Yolanda Marody's whereabouts is asked to call the sheriff's office or Crime Stoppers.
It has been reported that Yolanda has 2 adult children who live in the U.S. I wonder if they fear that she may be able to sneak back across the border somehow and will end up on one of their doorsteps. That's a frightening thought. Another frightening thought? Police say Becky told Yolanda she wanted to end their marriage a week before the vicious attack on February 17th. That would be 4 days before she posted that Valentine's Day post, saying that Becky was an angel to so many. Those who saw her post then probably thought she meant because Becky was a firefighter, and she probably saved many lives. But now, they know she was actually announcing Becky's fate. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Inside the Dark. Take care, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel, where I'll be waiting to take you back inside the dark.